Ladies and gentlemen, it is Kevin Jackwitz here with the Caged Review, and we're about to kick off the return here with SmackDown, and this is for January 30th, 2018. I got my notes right here, so if I'm looking down a little bit, that's why. It was January 30th, so we're talking almost, well, I know it is 3 weeks ago today. So, yeah, I'm going to have to reference. I think I remember because I did kind of do a refresher on YouTube. So, let's get into this right away. We start off with Nakamura, Owens, Zayn, Styles opening. Nakamura is in the ring. Of course, he just won the Royal Rumble, so this is the very next show after the Royal Rumble. And he's talking about how he's going to beat AJ Styles, of course. And then Owens and Zayn, they come out, interrupt him. And I forget what the whole concept was there. I think they were saying that, you know, there's no way he's going to beat AJ Styles. AJ Styles comes out and says, you know what? Let's turn this dream match into a dream team. And so he wants to tag with Nakamura to face Owens and Zayn. And pretty cool. Really good setup there. So now that we know that the main event is going to be Owens, Zayn, AJ Styles, Nakamura. So they go to commercial and then come back with the New Days, Kofi Kingston facing Rusev, facing Zack Ryder, facing Jinder Mahal in a fatal four-way. And it was kind of a match thrown together, but they decided to add some stakes to the match, which I think is really good. And one thing I'm really liking about WWE lately is that they are adding stakes to most of their matches. And I can say that because in the following weeks, they've kept that going, which I think is really important because, honestly, some of their shows just feel so thrown together. I think Raw 25 was a perfect example of that. None of it made sense. It was incoherent. There was no stakes to any of the matches. They didn't mean anything. So it's really nice to see that they're doing this, and the stakes for this, the Fatal 4-Way, the winner gets to face Bobby Roode next week for the United States Championship. Pretty good match. I don't know if there was any standout moments to it. Of course, the crowd's going crazy for Rusev, and he actually pulls out the win. So then we know the following week, we get Rusev versus Bobby Roode. So very cool. And then you get a backstage segment with Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Daniel Bryan, where of course Owens and Zayn are saying, you know, they got screwed out of their chance at the Royal Rumble and things like that. And so Daniel Bryan says, you know what, you're right, next week you both get a shot at the world title again. It's going to be Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. And then of course you see their faces go blank and they're like, oh. And that starts a really good bit that carries throughout the show. So after that, they actually have that Fatal 4-Way match that I was talking about. And of course Rusev wins and he goes to face Bobby Roode. And then the Usos come out and they cut a promo, and the Usos are pretty good at doing promos now. They've really learned how to express themselves, show their personality, really connect with the audience. And they did this bit about, you know, all the tag teams that they've had locked down in the penitentiary. But a pretty good promo overall. Didn't really go anywhere, didn't really do anything for them except for, you know, give them some face time. But decent for what it was. And then you have a promo backstage where you have Breezango and the Ascension. Looks like they're starting the Fashion Files bit. And then Benjamin and Gable, Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable come in. And they're talking about how these two teams are making a mockery of the tag team division, and they want to see serious tag teams, and they want to elevate the tag team division as something that can be taken seriously again on SmackDown. Pretty good promo there. And After that, you have a match with the Bludgeon Brothers versus a couple of nobodies again. And honestly, I'm never a fan when you have a couple of big guys debut, even if they're debuting as something new, and you just throw in a bunch of nobodies for weeks and weeks and weeks. Nobody cares about that. At least I don't. It's obvious they're going to win. It's going to be a complete squash match. Okay, you're building them up to be monsters, but if you want to build them up to be monsters, give them credible opponents. That's just what it seems like to me. It doesn't make any sense to have repeated squash matches for a couple of months trying to build up somebody, because obviously in this day and age in wrestling, we know it's scripted. We know it's not, give them something to do. So that's my thought on that. The Bludgeon Brothers didn't care. And not because of them, but because of how they're trying to be built. You can't build anybody with a bunch of unknowns. So then you have a segment backstage with Shane McMahon, Ty Dillinger, and Baron Corbin. Ty Dillinger is saying that, he wants a chance to prove himself. Baron Corbin interrupts, says, you're nobody, basically. And that sets up a match for those two later in the show. And then you have kind of a cool moment. Charlotte Flair comes out. She's doing a promo. And the Riot Squad interrupt her. The Riot Squad come down, interrupt her, beat her down. And then Carmella comes out with the Money in the Bank briefcase. She's looking like she's going to cash in. And then she accidentally kicks the referee, giving Charlotte enough time to kind of come to from the beatdown. And then the bell hadn't rung yet, and Carmella grabs her briefcase and takes off. Just kind of a cool segment the way they did it. I will say, out of all the female wrestlers right now, Carmella is probably the one I like the least. And I say that because she reminds me of everything the Divas division was. She can't wrestle. She's good on a mic. She can talk. I'll give her that. But her wrestling matches are slap, kick, scream. And I'm not a fan. I know a lot of people are because she can talk, but she just comes off way too girly and not enough wrestler. That's like I said, it just reminds me of the Divas division. So then you have a promo with Braun Strowman and Alexa Bliss, and Sami Zayn and Becky Lynch in the mixed match challenge. I've only seen the first match of the mixed match challenges. I am going to actually be doing reactions to all of those. I did like the first match, and it's been a while now, so I can probably actually do a genuine reaction by watching it again. I'm interested to see what they're doing with this and where it's going to go, so I do like some of the team-ups. So, we'll see what happens there. Ty Dillinger is next versus Baron Corbin. Not entirely excited about this match. This one was definitely just kind of thrown in there. And unfortunately, Baron Corbin wins. I'm not a fan of Corbin. I've been saying that since day one. He cannot talk on a mic. He's jerky in the ring. There's nothing really likable about him as far as I can see, as far as being a WWE star. That's my opinion. Others will vary. So they feed him to Corbin, which I think Ty Dillinger is much more deserving and much more talented. But hey, what do I know? So then you have an Owens-Zayn promo in the back. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are sitting there and they're talking about, the fact that they're going to have to face each other next week, and they have to be on the same page tonight. And you can tell that they're building friction between the two. They're starting to get these really bad vibes, and so it's kind of a nice setup for the final match. And then you go into Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable versus Breezango. the promo earlier where they're saying they're trying to make the serious tag team division again. They go out there, have some really good spots. Chad Gable is just great. Thankfully, Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable win the match, and they're apparently going to start this process of where, okay, they're going to start to, I don't want to say reform the tag team division, but try to make it something serious again, which is kind of a cool angle, because there has been a lot of comedy bits, and they haven't done a lot with their tag team division except for the Usos. So I do like where they're going with that. Even the New Day, they're very comedy based. So, and then that leads up to the main event, which is of course AJ Styles and Nakamura versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Really good match, some really good spots here, and eventually, the friction between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were apparent. They weren't gelling together. Finally, Sami Zayn just walks out of the match and leaves Kevin Owens to both AJ Styles and Nakamura, which of course, at the end, he gets pinned, and that's that. So, you have Sami Zayn watching on the teleprompter in the back, and he's kind of like holding his head in his hand. He's like, it doesn't really say what that was all about, whether it was I should have been out there or whatever, but you can tell he felt like it was kind of a bad decision. So it was a really cool show. I mean, they're building up things. They're building up, the Sami Zayn Kevin Owens match for next week, which is really good. They're starting to build up the Nakamura AJ Styles match, which is also good. So a lot of really cool things that happened. There are some things that I didn't like. The Corbin thing. I'm so sick of seeing Corbin getting over when he doesn't deserve it. Against more deserving competitors. I just don't like him. He's big. That's it. There is nothing redeeming about him other than his size as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, that's my take on it. It wasn't as good as the Raw following Royal Rumble. I really liked that Raw. I think this was a step down. Not necessarily a steep step down, but it was a step down. I think Raw did a great job of having matches that had some kind of stakes to them. So, yeah, I mean, you're heading into a WrestleMania. I mean, these should be the shows that are getting everybody's attention. This should be the time where every match counts. And I do think there were too many throwaways in this particular episode. So that's my take on it for SmackDown, January 30th, 2018. Let me know what you guys thought about it in the comments below. If you like this review, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackos with the Caged Review. Cage Nation, out.